Good afternoon, St. Louis, and welcome to the very first edition of the newest and hottest sports talk show on television airwaves, Press Play, powered by 0 to 60 Energy Drink. I'm your host, Sid Frazier, and I look forward to spending the next half hour with you. Keep your television right where it is.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look.
And welcome back to Press Play. We're gonna jump right into it. I'm gonna introduce my panel. First up, I got one of St. Louis's own. He's a Vashon grad, also a Mizzou alum, class of 2006. We have Mr. Arnold Britt.
How you doing?
All right, how you feel about being on the show today?
Pretty good, man.
Looking forward to it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get right to it. Next up, St. Louis, we have another one of Vashon's grads. He's a current head coach of the varsity football team, also the athletic director. I learned today that he's also the track coach. He's also a Mizzou alum, class of 2008. Drafted in that year by the Kansas City Chiefs, went on to spend time with the Detroit Lions, as well as the Oakland Raiders. We have Mr. Will Franklin. How you doing today, Will?
How you doing today?
I'm good, man. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, man, I'm excited.
Ready to get St. Louis something they never had before, right?
That's why I'm here.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. The first thing I want to ask, since we spoke about you spending time with the Oakland Raiders, we know that this has been a big offseason. It's been a crazy offseason.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest additions of this offseason, Mr. Antonio Brown himself.
Yeah, AB, that's a great pickup for them.
You think so?
I think, having Jordy Nelson on the other side now, adding him to the mix, that just give their offense a lot more to work with. Get some of the pressure off Marshawn back there, and Derek Carr to get back to the 2016 season where he pretty much ran the league and did what he did from that standpoint without the talent. So
right.
I think that's you just shook the AFC West up a little bit.
Okay.
Don't forget about Williams.
About
Tyrell Williams.
Tyrell Williams coming over
Back
from
from
San
the
Diego.
Chargers, yeah.
Correct. With the money that AB demanded in this offseason, he ended up signing a 3-year, $52.5 million contract. We know that the guaranteed money is what the NFL is all about this year. $30 million guaranteed. I don't know how you feel about that. You think he deserved that kind of money?
Man, with the numbers he's been putting up, why not?
Okay.
I think over in Pittsburgh, they made it more, in my opinion, they made it more about the quarterback, which some things came out and transpired between the two. But, when a man been doing the things he's been doing for the last few years, and on a consistent basis as he has done it, then, pay him.
Speaking about the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh, we all know that there's been some turmoil a little bit between him and Ben Roethlisberger, but he's not the first one to really, I guess, have that turmoil with Ben Roethlisberger. I think it was maybe the first time that it's really been publicized the way that it's been publicized this season. But we also know that Mr. Le'Veon Bell went through the same turmoil with Ben Roethlisberger, ended up sitting out a year. I don't know if it was so much with Ben as it was with the organization, but we know that they've had their run-ins, end up sitting out a whole year. And now he's back. What do you think about his addition with his newly formed New York Jets? So he say that's a team that he dreamed of playing with his whole life. So what you think about that?
I don't know about the Jets, man. But he's just on. But the turmoil thing with what happened up in Pittsburgh, that's pretty much any organization, any type of team camaraderie. There's always something in-house that, the world don't know. It's just unfortunate those two guys who done the things they done in Pittsburgh felt that way. They done just as much as Ben did for that city and that team. You hate to see it go out that way, but that's what just happens in sports, especially nowadays with the money that's involved and these guys understanding more so than guys before them the value of the dollar and getting paid while they can. So,
right.
They have to make business decisions for themselves. That game is not something that you can play forever. So you got to get out there and get the money while you can. And I think Bell did exactly what anyone in the position he's in, he did right by himself by just sitting out. You save a year on your body, give a chance to rest, be able to be in control of your destiny. And that's something that in sports you really don't have outside of high school.
Right.
High school, you can pick whatever college you want to go to.
Exactly.
But from there on, as you get more into the professional ranks, it's no longer where you want to go until you put yourself in position like he did. And, right. He ended up where he wanted to.
But Arnold, sitting out a whole year, we understand the part about it's good for the body and all that kind of stuff, but how do you get back into game shape? How do you shake off the rust? Do you think it'll be any rust?
Game time rust, I would say. More of the, I'm pretty sure he's been keeping himself up, probably has some of the best trainers around, some of the best nutritionists that, in his corner. So game-wise, game speed, I think he's been in the league pretty performing at a, well-maintained level.
Okay.
So he's been pretty good with himself. So going to the Jets kind of reminds me of, was it Matt Forte?
Okay.
So he kind of reminds me of that type of back with Forte. So I think he'll fit in with that scheme.
It's funny you mentioned Matt Forte. He said the reason why he went to the Jets because he idolized Curtis Martin. Okay. I kind of see him along those lines. I remember Curtis Martin.
I can see that.
I kind of remember that style of running that Curtis Martin brought to the table. He does kind of resemble him a little bit. Of course, I think he's a little more physical than Curtis Martin was myself, me personally.
They kind of the same back, someone that can do it all.
Exactly.
Curtis Martin, he was able to catch out the backfield and do things with us. And Bell is the same way.
He's a dynamic receiver out the backfield.
Definitely.
And with that being said, I believe that's why he kind of demanded the money that he wanted to get. He wanted to be the highest paid running back in the league. He wanted to get that Todd Gurley money. Yeah. We know he didn't quite get the Todd Gurley money, but you still sitting on $27 million guaranteed. That's not a bad number at all.
The age factor came into that play.
Okay, we got to get ready to wrap it up. But before we wrap it up, I just want to mention Kyler Murray. What do you think about him coming out of Oklahoma? Number one pick or no?
From what I was told by some of my sources, he will be the number one quarterback off the board.
Quickly, on the number one pick or no?
I'd take him first.
You'll take him first?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for your opinion. We'll be right back with more of Press Play. Keep your TV right where it is.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool.
To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
And welcome back to Press Play. Here with my panel, Mr. Will Franklin, Mr. Arnold, Britt. NCAA time, fellas. We know that's right around the corner. Coming up, actually starting tomorrow, we got the 16 seeds, the play-in games. We got a Prairie View, which is our HBCU, coming out of the SWAC conference. They're going to be going up against Fairleigh Dickinson. I don't really know much about that game. It's nothing that's going to put any fear into a #1 seed this year. I don't think we're going to have the Virginia meltdown in this game. Then after that, we got the number 11 seeds. We got Temple going against Belmont. That's going to kick the tournament off. Then we move on to Wednesday. That's when things start to get interesting, starting on the 20th when we got North Carolina Central going against North Dakota State. That's an underrated game. I believe North Dakota State will probably come on top in that one. But the 11 seed matchup is really going to be a good game. We got St. John's against Arizona State. Arizona State was playing really well down the stretch. So that's going to be a game to tune into. I don't think any of that is what the people want to hear about. I don't think any of that is what the people want to see.
You never know with this time of year.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? It's playoff time. It's win or go home, and you always have a Cinderella team that come out. So, you know, you can't just shoe in someone anymore, man. I think, what was that, 05, 06 with George Mason? You know what I mean? When they came out and just, you ain't see it coming. So, you know,
Right.
I don't count the HBCUs out or anybody else out unless they run into, you know, a powerhouse like a North Carolina or a Duke or something like that, where it's just like, all right, like, you can see the
Glad you
difference.
mentioned North Carolina and Duke. The #1 seeds.
That's his
Duke
team,
being the
man.
#1 of ones, followed by North Carolina, followed by Gonzaga, followed by Virginia.
Yeah.
Do you see Duke as being the 1 of ones? I understand that they got the 3 fabulous freshmen coming in this year, supposed to be unstoppable. Zion is coming off an injury. I think he revitalized the team coming off that injury.
Yeah.
We saw that against North Carolina. But the thing we saw against North Carolina, even with him coming back, it seems like the rest of the team kind of concedes to him and his ways. They want like to stand around and watch a little bit. We
He's
seen
an
Cam
X
Reddish struggle a little bit. We seen actually R.J. Barrett struggled a little bit too when Zion came back. Think it's enough time to get him going?
Man, it's a dangerous time. I can think back when Michael Porter got hurt with Mizzou.
Correct.
And then they brought him back in before the tournament, and it kind of killed the morale. I don't want to say it's not his fault, but it was kind of, you know, yeah, he's the best player on the team, and that's kind of by far. So everybody kind of stepped back and gave him the lane again.
Right.
So I think with the Zion, you don't see the other kids like Cam Reddish and R.J. Barrett is still more going to be R.J. Barrett, but it more so affects Cam Reddish. He kind of like takes that third tier, like, but he was also a McDonald All-American and one of the better kids coming out in the country as well.
That's true. And actually, the part that bugs me about Cam Reddish, when Cam Reddish was in high school, we all know that he was a point guard. He was used to playing with the ball in his hands a lot. But now we see that since he's taken on that role at Duke, it seems like they're forcing him into a role that he seems a little uncomfortable to me. They're trying to make him a spot-up shooter.
You know, you're trying to put him in a position to be a pro. You know, in high school, a lot of those guys were point guards, 1 through 5.
Correct.
You know, they all 6 foot something that can play every position on the floor. So when you get into situations like that, like at North Carolina, you got kids that, you know, they get there and you got to fit into the system. And I think Coach K adjusted to the game. over the last couple of years, we're getting some of the one-and-done guys to be able to put them in position to become pros. North Carolina always had that makeup. Kansas always had that makeup. They get pro-ready guys and they make them pros. Right. So it's a challenge for those kids early on, and you see it a little bit with Jason, right, where he will call out Jason here and there, but it's good for them in their development, you know what I mean, to help them in the long run.
I think by far that, this is just my personal opinion, I think R.J. Barrett is the most well-rounded out of the three.
Oh,
I believe that he's able to play with the ball, he's able to play without the ball. That translates to the pro game, as you were speaking about.
Because it's becoming a league of no positions.
No positions, exactly.
So everybody, I mean, really right now, starting with the college level, and even on the high school level with the prep schools, you collecting talent.
Yep. Okay.
And Duke has transformed into that we would never do it, but now we do it, but to keep up, you have to do it.
Yep. Real quickly, out of the three, who's the best pro?
I say RJ.
Say RJ?
I'm going with North Carolina, Nasir Little.
Okay. Nasir Little. I like that pick. I think Roy Williams held him back a little bit, but I like that pick.
And that was I think, when you got into the system, of you actually do have a point guard, you have a two guard,
right.
And it wasn't that free range, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm biased towards North Carolina, but best pro.
That's the best thing you said since the segment started.
Best pro, I'll take R.J. Barrett.
Okay.
Well-rounded.
Let's talk about the hometown a little bit, man. SLU shocked the world the other day. Yeah. 4 games in 4 days, 4 wins. First time in 10 years that the Billikens has been in this tournament.
That is huge.
What you expect from them? Is it just, I mean, they went in as a 13 seed. They got a tough matchup in Virginia Tech, a long athletic team.
Yeah.
Oh, man, what you think? How you see it shaking out? That could be a...
Again, it can go either way. You never know.
Well, one thing about SLU is they do play half-court defense, so if they can slow the game down.
And that's what I like. The few games I watched this year, man, like they actually play old-school basketball. Like, they're not the biggest team, the smallest team, but they scrappy, a typical Travis Ford team. If you ever remember him from the Big 12 days, like Oklahoma State, they would get underneath you and make it a tough night. You know what I mean? So I can see it being that's their identity here at SLU.
I think one stigma that he put to bed was at Oklahoma State, he was always known just as a recruiter.
Yeah.
I believe coming to SLU forced him to be a coach.
Yeah.
And you can see the difference now. And just wanted to give a shout out to our St. Louis kid. He's not a St. Louis kid, but Jordan Goodwin, we're going to accept him as one of St. Louis.
That's a St. Louis kid, man.
That's a St. Louis kid.
We watched that kid grow up in the gym.
I think he went crazy in the tournament, and he had a big part of turning this thing around. And we know we had the transfers coming in, and Mr. Wiley, and I think they was able to mesh it all together. And once you buy into the system, man, anything can happen.
That's anywhere at every level, man. The system is you in the system. If you make up your mind that you're going to get into it and you're going to do what it takes to make it work, it's a beautiful thing, and we've seen that, man. I'm proud of St. Louis U, and hope the city get behind them more.
That's it. That's it.
That's something that I think we can get better at with our hometown sports team outside the Cardinals.
Right.
Is support our local college team.
Chaffetz hold 19,000, man.
Yeah.
It's be surprising next year if we don't see that place filled up, man, especially with the run they had. Before we wrap it up in this segment, I just want to say SLU Billikens. Friday, man, 8:59, 8:57, I believe it is Friday. Let's tune in. Let's cheer for them, help them get this win. I believe they can get at least one in this tournament.
Yeah.
We'll be right back to Press Play. Don't turn your station at all.
Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? friends.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look. And welcome back to Press Play. Here now we have joining us Mr. TeByron Graham. He is the headline, the creator of the 0 to 60 energy drink that is sponsoring us today, that this program is powered by. Mr. Graham, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, I'm doing fine.
I got a question for you. What inspired you? What's the inspiration behind 0 to 60?
Well, the inspiration behind 0 to 60 for me is why not? Coming from the inner city, nobody told us that we couldn't do this. I'm hoping that I have set enough foundation that other people will look to me and say, hey, if he did it, I can do it.
Okay, I like that. So let me ask you this. Besides 0 to 60, is there any other projects that you have in mind? It seems like you got a lot of projects I know going on in your head. You got 0 to 60. You got Press Play, which is their very first edition today. What other ideas do you have in mind? What you working on next? What's your next masterpiece?
Well, me personally, I'm just a dreamer, man, and I feel that when you're a dreamer, this the type of things that transpire. So I just continue to be a dreamer, and we'll see what comes next.
Okay. Well, being one of St. Louis's own, I agree with what you said, man. Why not us? Being one of St. Louis's own, you got 0 to 60, look like it's thriving and doing well. We appreciate all that you do. We appreciate the opportunity here on Press Play.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of dreamers and speaking of dreaming, we got about 10 days, fellas, before our next local team, our St. Louis Cardinals themselves, take the field and the games really mean something. We dreaming. It's been 3 long years since we've been in the postseason. We're in an unfamiliar territory. I don't know how much more St. Louis can take.
Right.
What we expecting from them this year?
I mean, when you
playoff or bust? I'm sorry about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. You say playoff or bust? Playoffs. With the Cardinals, you just never know. We might lose 10 in a row. We might win 50 in a row. It's just when the tradition is so long with winning, it's kind of, you expect that.
Right.
And for fans here, I've met people that come in town 3-4 times from far as New York, and they have their own few baseball teams, but they come down here to watch the Cardinals. So I think with winning, and with the tradition, you expect winning. So not making the playoffs or not winning at all is kind of like a failure to St. Louis when it comes to the Cardinals.
I can speak for that myself. I'm one of the biggest St. Louis fans you're meeting. I'm tired of losing. I'm tired of not being there. October, I don't want to watch nobody else but the Cardinals.
And it's a different, for the city alone, man, it's a different atmosphere, a different environment, different like a big time hype when the Cardinals winning.
Exactly.
Like you can see the camaraderie, like everybody downtown. It's big. So baseball here is just, it's just that.
We got a new few additions, Will, that's supposed to help the team, supposed to catapult the team this year. We got Mr. Paul Goldschmidt coming in from Arizona. What you expecting from him?
That's a big pickup for him.
Right.
That was a bet we needed. You know what I mean? So I'm just looking forward to see, how the new manager do, and this is kind of a new regime. So it'll be some trial and error, but they got enough veteran leaders on that team. And when you got the head man behind, they're catching them balls with Gotti, you know what I mean? That's a valuable piece.
Can't beat that.
Someone that knows how to win at a high level, and he's been here, and that is a St. Louis fan favorite.
This offseason, Marcell Ozuna took a lot of flack. Mostly because of his own self, his own undoing. With that shoulder injury they was talking about, you heard a lot about in the news about he didn't do what he was supposed to do to get that shoulder together. He started the throwing program late. It was about 2 weeks into spring training before he was even able to throw the ball. He's off to a slow start. I think his batting average is around 100. He was 107 the other day when I checked. Do you see him being able to get back to that form, that Marlins form, when he had Christian Yelich on the lineup, when he had Giancarlo Stanton in the lineup? Do you see him being able to get back to that form in St. Louis?
It's a long season. baseball is a long season, so, you know, we asked that at the All-Star break. You know,
give him to the All-Star break. We got Jose Martinez ready to hit tomorrow. I don't know about giving him to the All-Star break.
If he's fully recovered, then I can see him getting back to that point again.
Okay.
But if he's fully recovered, then yes. But time will tell with that.
That's the scary part. We know how that shoulder can work. One day you feel good, the next day you don't. We saw last year after he got the cortisone shot, he carried him in the month of September. Pre-cortisone shot, he was just a guy. So what we gonna get this year coming out?
The tricky part about it, us that's watching from television or in the stands, we don't really know.
Exactly.
So we can't prejudge and say, oh, he's okay, he's fine. We don't know.
So what you saying? I can't judge with my heart?
No.
It's a sad thing, man. But no, it ain't.
Being former
that's
athletes,
not fair. That's not fair.
We know how I feel when people like, oh, he can fight through it. Sometimes them.
You didn't get hit.
Yeah, that's true. But man, when I'm down there, I don't want to hear none of that.
You between the white lines, I don't want to hear none of that. When you pay your own money, you're right. You want to see it.
Man, I want to, you know, since we're on the Cardinals, just kind of hit on a couple of our local teams. I wanted to give a shout out first to the East St. Louis Flyers, pulling off their first ever state championship in Class 3 in Illinois. That was a tough feat, but they was able to do it. Then also we got Belleville West going back to back. They was one of the first Illinois teams in a long time to be able to pull that off, going back to back. Got E.J. Liddell over there doing big things, Terrence Hargrove Jr. at East St. Louis. Then our St. Louis team, St. Mary's, they didn't finish where they wanted to finish, but we got to give them a hand. You know, hey, finishing runner up, that's nothing you can really snob at. You know, the CBC, we know what they bring to the table with Justin Tatum at the helm. Wanted to give them a big shout out, so we appreciate that. But I know you guys are Vashon grads.
I thought you was gonna miss that.
3 out of 4. Come on now. I'm not. Hey, I'm a Trinity guy because that's where my family's at. But 3 out of the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Doing it in Class 4, then dropping down and doing it in Class 3. Yeah. That's a huge thing.
Right.
That's just an expectation for us every year to go out there and play a hell of a schedule for the kids' exposure, but to knuckle down when it comes down to what matters.
Real quick, 10 seconds. What you think about Vashon coming in the next year, losing the pieces that they losing, which they really aren't losing anybody?
I think we losing the names and not to take for granted the type of players that those names are. Like there's some big time names in that pot, but I go with the term sometimes less is more.
Okay.
So we get the younger guys to come in and actually play the roles and not kind of defer to the Mario McKinney's and you know. So I think they'll most likely step up their game and be ready to come out firing to improve themselves.
Okay. Well, guys, we got to wrap it up. It's been an honor and a pleasure being in this first edition of Press Play. St. Louis, thank you for tuning in to this very special first edition of your new sports fix, which is Press Play. If you missed anything that we said or you can't believe that we said it, rewind it back. Press Play. See you next time.